running Facebook ads is more than just getting the leads. It's about getting exposure. It's how do you get a complete stranger who've never heard of you, who has no idea to exist, to end up paying premium service.
Damn, what is that, bro?
And it just takes more than just the leads, right? It's the exposure, and that is exactly what I'm going to be showing you in this video. I'm going to be showing you behind the scenes of an ad account of a client who's absolutely crushing it. Highest month at $70,000 months, and how much exposure we've been able to bring into his business simply because we're running paid ads. And this is the reason why I absolutely love paid ads versus Google ads. Not talking smack about Google ads because it still works, but the amount of exposure that you can get for the price, you cannot beat that anywhere else. So my name is Jorge Mateo. I am founder of Canine Conversions, the go-to agency to scaling your dog training business. I'm here to get you more evals, more clients, increase your revenue, and make an impact in your dog training community. If you're new to the channel, subscribe to the channel where we talk about how to get more evals, close more clients, increase your revenue. And if you're already a subscriber, then welcome back to another banger. Okay, so I'm going to be showing you behind the scenes of an ad account. If you've never ran any ads before, this may look a little, foreign to you, but if you have, then, you already know what you're looking at, right? But no worries, I'm going to explain. And I'm going to be explaining why I just absolutely love running ads on, on Meta versus Google. And don't get me wrong, I still like Google, and, yes, you can still get results with Google, but there's some added benefits that running on Meta that it's a steal, right? And I just want to show you the reality of it and why, in my opinion, like it's super important that yes, leads alone, like leads is important, but also what comes with the leads and the exposure, that's what I want to explain to you, right here. So before I even jump into the leads, I'm going to go with the leads at the very last part, but then I'm going to go, but before that, I'm going to go over all the different types of, benefits that we have when it comes to running ads that, that you get rather than just the leads. Okay. So very first thing, let's look at delivery. Okay. So with the delivery, and actually, I just want to before I even do that, I just want to show you how much we've invested in this particular account. Okay. So we've invested $13,369 at the time of this recording, right? All of this is just strictly on ads. Now, this person, like this is since we started, right? And you can see that some of the campaigns are, have been on since January of 2020, or was it? January of 2025, right? So this account has been on for over a year, and within that over a year, we spent $13,369 on ads. Now, be fully transparent, we didn't necessarily start, with a big budget. We started with $500 a month, and then after that we started scaling, right? And now we're spending a little bit, now we're investing a little bit more on ads, but because that's usually how it works with everybody who start running ads. It's like first they do a small budget with $500 is what we recommend, and then from there what we do is we would gradually scale up. And there's different ways of scaling up. That would be for a whole different video, but we started getting results. And I mean, just imagine this client, this trainer's biggest month, was $72,000 in one single month, right? Yet, we've invested $13,000 on ads over the entire of the year. Like that's the reason why I love Meta ads, because it's like going to the casino and putting $1 and onto a machine, knowing that you're going to make 5, 6, 7 back, right? This is what the power of Meta is, and of course it's not just launching an app, but it's really letting the campaign optimize and making sure that everything is good, right? So I just want to give you perspective on how much we've invested. Okay, I'm not going to be talking about just how many leads we've gone on just right now, but so far. All right. So far, we see that, we've shown the ad. Okay, let me go back. Before you start running any ads, right? People have absolutely no idea who you are. They don't know you exist. They don't know that, that you have a business. They don't know that, you can help them out. Like you're non-existent to them, right? So it's like, how do we get the word out? And the traditional way of advertising was always like those billboards, the radio, the magazines. And I like to give this example, right? Because imagine this. Imagine, if you were to take a random 10 people and ask them, hey, how many of you guys still read magazines? Most likely like 1 out of 10, if not 0 out of 10, will actually raise their hands and be like, no, I do. But if you were to ask the exact same people, or even like the 10 random people, how many of you guys are on a social media platform such as Facebook or Instagram, 9 out of 10, if not 10 out of 10, will actually raise their hand and they say me, right? So what I'm trying to say here is this is one of the best ways to really, put your business out there. So with that being said, we've seen, this person was non-existent before we started running ads. And now we see that there has been close to 700,000 impressions, meaning this is how many times Meta show your ad in front of someone, right? This is what I like to call exposure, right? There's 691 people, who know about, this business because of Meta ads, okay? So that's one, that's really, really good, all right? Because these people were non-existent, all right? And then once we see here, it's like, all right, let me go to delivery. That is what impressions is. Let me see. Now let's go to engagement, okay? Again, engagement is not it's not the number one way to get results, but again, what I'm really talking about right now is exposure. And and I'll go into the leads, right? But imagine this: there has been 125,000 people who have engaged on the page, right? There has been 4,138 people who had reacted to the ad. Imagine that, 344 comments, right? There has been 427 posts saved. All right, this is the crazy part because this is what I call now free marketing, right? It's like post share. Their ad has been shared 863 times. And the reason why that it's important, so there's two sides of it, right? It can be a good side and a bad side, right? Because most of the time whenever we're a trainer and we're running ads locally, like we only want leads or we only want people who are, local, right? Doesn't make any sense for someone to, someone who lives in a completely different, state or on the other side of the country to see your ad, right? So that's the only downside is like, if someone who shares the ad and have family in a different state, like they may see your ad, but still, again, it's all about exposure. It's all about, the meta scene that your campaign is being optimized, is being shared. So it's going to be showing it to much, much more people, right? So this is why, it's good because it's free marketing. Now, the good side is that, anybody who shares it and are who are locally, like they're going to see the ad, right? So that right there is like free marketing that you also get. All right, there has been 13,000 people who had clicked on the ad. All right, and this is us running locally. Okay, Facebook likes the Facebook page. There has been 177 people who've liked the page, but this is where it gets sweet. Okay, so there has been, since we started, this person has gained 601 followers strictly from the ads. Okay, you got to remember, these people have absolutely no idea who you are. So even if they become a follow, what's going to happen if you're constantly posting? They're going to become a fan. And whenever they're ready to buy, they're going to think of you rather than anybody else because they give you that follow, they become a fan, and they constantly see your stuff, right? So when it comes to marketing, there's three types of people in the market, okay? There's people who will never ever buy from you, and you know what? That is okay. Like I have those, everyone has those. It's like one of those person where they would just never ever ever go to Apple or an iPhone because they're really happy with Android. It's like they were just like, yeah, they would just never buy, right? There's those kind of people. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just part of the game. The smallest part of the group are people who are ready to buy right there at the spot. And let's say, for example, these are people who, let's say, for example, the dog jumped on grandma, and grandma fell and broke her hip, and now there's fighting within the family, saying, hey, the dog doesn't get fixed, we're gonna have to surrender him, right? Those are someone who's really, really in pain, and those are the smallest people in the market, right? And then there's the biggest part of the market is people who need your services but may not necessarily be ready to buy right there at the spot, but through processes and systems we can convert them from a complete stranger to someone who actually pays premium service, pays premium price for your services, right? So this is why Instagram it's super effective, because now it's like you're seeing that you're getting exposure to the ad, you're seeing you're getting exposure to your landing page, you're seeing you're getting exposure to your Facebook page, likes to Facebook page, you see that you're getting exposure to your Instagram page. You're just being very well known in your area. Like we've had, especially when it comes to like a smaller population size, like we've had trainers tell me like, yeah, it's like, random people just come up to me like, oh yeah, you're the dog trainer that I see all over the ad, right? So it's like, imagine that. Imagine being that dog trainer that everyone recognizes, right? Like you're going to just be able to print money on demand. So this is why, all of this is super important, is because, we get that level of exposure that usually typically, Google doesn't really give you, And again, I'm not even talking about the leads, all right? This is just exposure. This is just, the shares that you get, which is free marketing. This is the amount of time someone, has some sort of interaction with the ad, the page, whatever it is. And the beautiful part of like meta ads is like as soon as someone has some sort of engagement, like they just get retargeted and they get to see your ad multiple times. And again, someone may not be ready to buy it from the very beginning, but later on they will be, So that's why all of this is super important. So now I'm going to go into like the leads, right? Because if we invested $13,000 on ads, all right, like what kind of results are we getting? And we already know that, once we invested this month, first things first, this client already has made at least a minimum of $250,000 since starting with us. All right. So imagine making $250,000 off of a $13,000 ad spend, right? It's like majority came from the ads, but some came from the ads indirectly. So what do I mean by that? So, let's say for example, someone, you see your ad, they're going to get curious, so they're going to visit your Instagram page or Facebook page. They don't necessarily become a lead right there, but you know what? Maybe you they give you a follow, and then they search you up on Google, and then they give you a call, for example, right? It all originated from the ad, but then we call this the online ecosystem, right? It originated from the ad. That's the very first exposure, but then they started doing more research to try to find you, or came across your page, and then they contact you, and then they become bam, they become a lead and eventually a client, right? So that's why it's super important. So out of 13,000, let's see, we've cost per lead is like $5.83, and of course not every single person it's going to be qualified, and of course not every single person is going to be ready to buy. There's going to be some tire kickers, but at the end of the day, with the right processes and systems, we get to vet out those who are not serious and really only talk to and meet on the evals or transformation sessions. So people who are who are in most pain and need your services the most. Okay. So that's that, and then we've seen that we've gotten 2,293 leads since we started working together. Imagine that, 2,283 leads. If I'm looking at the last 30 days, we've had 359 leads. Again, I'm right here giving you behind the scenes, showing you full transparency. Cost per lead is right under $7, and even though yes, some people are not be ready to buy it, that's okay, because those people who are, there are people here who are ready to buy. It's just you need the right processes and systems to increase the chances of getting someone from complete stranger or non-existent to, getting excited to work with you and being the only trainer that, that they want to work with. And that's exactly what processes and systems do for you. And that's one of the reasons why, there's so many people who try meta ads and they don't get the results, because they don't have the systems in place. They just launch an ad, they get the lead, and they think and they assume that they're ready to buy, and they're not at fault with that. If you've never ran any ads and if you've only gotten clients to referrals, it's normal to think like that, but they're two different buying behaviors. And the reason why is because when it comes to referrals, they're already, in order to get someone to buy from you, they got to know you, like you, and trust you, right? Those are the three things that people got to get in order to buy from you. So whenever it comes to referrals, they've already have some sort of level of trust because they were referred to someone they trust, right? They've already know of you. They know you exist, right? So the last thing that to do is like they just gotta kind of like you, you know, which is not the hardest thing to do. Whereas when it comes to paid ads, it's like these people have absolutely no idea who you are. So if they don't even know who you are, they don't even like you, and if they don't even like you, like there's no trust there, right? So there's a system that gets them moving them from the no, like and trust, and that's what systems do, right? And that's why, all of these here, that's what we do when it comes to, getting all these leads. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if I give you, 350,000 leads. If you do not know how to convert a complete stranger who's never heard of you, all right, there's no point of getting that many leads. You're just going to get the exact same results and of like, probably, not getting enough clients, but with the right systems, you increase the chances of moving someone down that, know you, like you, and trust you. And then that's when they pay those premium prices. And on top of that, if you're good at what you do, so that is where you get referrals. So imagine that, you run the ads, and imagine I'm just gonna give you a hypothetical, okay? So hypothetical, you invested $13,000, and then you've gotten, let's say for example 10 clients, right? Out of those 10 clients, if you do a really good job and you ask for referrals, even if you get like a 25% or like let's say 30% take rate on referrals, then like that's 3 new clients that you got from the ads indirectly, because they were referred from someone that came from the ads. So that's the beauty of all of this. So again, I just wanted to show you, behind the scenes on, just give you some reality on, why running ads is super important and why it's, in my opinion, much better than Google, but all the benefits that come from that. A lot of people think, oh, it's just the leads is the leads. And when they don't get the results and they're like, oh, my cost per lead is too high, I'm not getting enough leads, they forget that it actually takes time. And that's the reason why here at Canine, for those people who are serious, like the first month of ads management that we do, like we don't charge them. It's pretty much, free, because we know it takes some time for the campaign to optimize, to find the right leads, to find the right ads, and really, nail it down. So it's like, for example, we had this client, her name is Lynn, the very first month with us, she wasn't profitable, but it was the second month that she had made $20,000 off of $500 ad spend, right? It took her, roughly about a month to get adjusted to the system, get adjusted to the sales process, and getting adjusted how to talk to people. And every day since then, she's just been making, every month since then, she's just been, consistently making around like 20,000 and had a record-breaking month of 30,000, and it's just her and her husband that run the business. So hope you took some value off of this, give you some reality of why it's super important to look at, all different types of metrics. And honestly, that is how you win with paid ads. So if you found value on this, just, do me a favor, just subscribe to the channel. If not, then if you already are, I appreciate you. And thanks for, staying all this time for another banger. So underneath this video, we have a few links. So if you're someone who just, wants, looking for someone to run your ads, get these kind of results, and, have record-breaking months, then there's a link for you to schedule your free transformation session. And then right there, we'll dive into your business. We'll see what's your biggest constraints, what are your biggest strengths, and then we'll give you a 12-week roadmap. And at the end of the call, you'll be presented with an option of, to work with us. Now, if you're someone who just like, I don't need this, I just want you guys to do that, like I don't really have the time, then you can just, let us know that, and then bam, we'll go straight to the point. We also have, 2 communities. One is free, where I show you how to run simple DM ads, and then the other one is InstaLeads, the $47 a month. That one is, that one just pretty much teaches you how to run your own ads without needing any fancy website or funnels, and how to get your first, few clients within like the next 48 hours. So hope you found value, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao.